there's still some people joining, so we'll just give it a minute. Can I remind everybody as they join to put themselves on mute? You can hear a little bit of background noise. Thank you. We've got a few more people dialing in, so I'll just give it another minute.
Okay.
This is a popular one. I'll give it another minute.
You're standing room only.
I know. A good job we didn't have to hire anywhere for everyone to come in person.
Get off, and she wanted to get down. She just didn't know where she wanted to be.
Okay, that looks like. Oh no, hang on a minute. Okay, I'll give it one more minute. All right. Okay, all right, that's brilliant. We'll make a start. Can I just remind everybody to put yourselves on mute? You hear quite a lot of background noise still. Thank you very much. Okay, I think this is possibly one of the most well-attended webinars we've done. There's over 150 people that have dialed in, so thank you all so much for taking the time out to join us this afternoon. We have a slide up on your screens at the moment while the last few people are joining with just a few reminders, sort of good rules for webinars. So please put yourself on mute. If you would like to ask a question during the session, please use the chat function or put your hand up. And just a reminder that we are recording this session so that we can put it on our provider site for those who haven't been able to make it this afternoon. And there's a website on the bottom there if you are having any problems accessing the webinar. Okay, there's still one or two more people joining. Okay, we'll make a start. So my name's Stella Pearson and I lead the T-Levels delivery division in the DFE. And we're all very pleased that you've been able to join us today. It's nice to have so many people keen to hear about the T-Level service. It's obviously a really important part of making sure that the delivery of T-Levels goes well. Can we move on to the next slide, Vicky? So the first section here will be about the T-Levels results and certification service, and I will pass over to David Scott to take you through this first bit.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Just to introduce myself, my name is David Scott, and I lead on a team who are working on a range of digital services that support stakeholders in the delivery of T-levels. So I won't get into great detail, but as a brief background, it was back in 2019 we undertook a piece of research with providers, employers, students, and awarding organisations to develop an understanding of what the user needs were and what the end-to-end journey was for those stakeholders right through from the very outset in terms of understanding and learning about T-levels through to registration, participation, and ultimately issuing results and certificates upon completion. From that piece of research, we identified a number of priority service areas where we focused on digital services. So this includes, for example, the T-level website, which some of you may be familiar with, which is focused on students and employers to build engagement and awareness, enable students to find T-levels information and links across to providers' sites who are offering T-levels where they can find that even more information. But I want to update specifically today on two areas of interest that are most relevant for providers, and I think one relating to results and certification, and the second which relates to some of the support we've put in place to assist with providers in preparing for and delivering T-levels. As I said at the outset, if you do have questions, please feel free to add those into the chat at the side, and we'll look to answer as many of those as we can at the end of this session. But I'm going to move swiftly on and introduce Tirath Bal, who's hopefully with us. You there, Tirath?
Yeah,
and
hi.
just so Tirath's our product owner for the managed T-level results service. So I'll leave it to Tirath to tell you a little bit more about that.
Okay, thanks, David. Yeah, so as David mentioned, I'm the product manager for this new digital service called Managed T-level Results. So it's a new service, has been in development for quite some time now, well over a year. And the purpose of the service is to aggregate component data for T-levels, so registration data, assessment entries, results data for the components of T-levels. Aggregate the components together in order to calculate the overall T-level result and ultimately issue certificates and statements of achievements to students. As I mentioned, it's been in development for some time now, and both awarding organizations and providers are required to access and use the service in order to submit that component data so that we can calculate results. In terms of awarding organizations, as I mentioned, it's been in development for some time now. As with other government digital services, it has been designed very much with users in mind. So we've been doing lots and lots of user research with awarding organizations primarily in order to factor in that feedback into the design of the service. And we're just going to be starting, actually we've just started research with providers now on the service as we move to the sort of providers phase of the portal, which I'll sort of talk through in the next sort of couple of slides. We went live with an initial release of this web portal, Managed T-level Results, to awarding organizations back in April last year. And awarding organizations have been using the service now for a number of months, more recently to submit student registration data around T-levels. And just a point around there around sort of developing the service incrementally, as I mentioned earlier, as with other government digital services, it's being developed with users in mind, based on user feedback. It's being developed incrementally, and we sort of continue to build and iterate the service and introduce new functionality based on user feedback and as and when that new functionality is required. And the aim is to launch an initial end-to-end service in August 2021. And beyond that point, we'll obviously continue to sort of build on it with service improvements. So if we can move on to the next slide, please. Thanks. So this is just a sort of high-level flow of how the system will work. Start from the top left there. So awarding organizations will be required to submit technical qualification components into the service. So as I mentioned, awarding organizations are already using the service, and they've submitted student registration data for the first wave of T-levels. but in due course they'll be submitting component results for the technical qualification, i.e. the core and the specialism, over the course of the sort of 2-year T-level programs. We come down now to providers. Now providers are required to submit industry placement data for the most part, and that is really in relation to the completion of the industry placement for students. There are a few other bullet points there. So one is around mandatory additional requirements. We also require providers to input information on any mandatory additional requirements. However, you'll probably be aware, but there are no mandatory additional requirements in the first wave of T-level. So this is only relevant as we sort of roll out the T-levels in future years. And then the final bullet point there is around English and maths equivalence. So for the most part, we'll pull in English and maths component results data from another DFE application called the Learning Record Service, to sort of minimize burden on users, because we've got access to that information. But where students completed those qualifications abroad, we require providers to confirm whether the minimum requirements for English and maths have been met for the T-level. And then if we come on down sort of round, you can see at the bottom there, we've got Learning Record Service, as I mentioned. That's where we expect to bring in the bulk of the English and maths data for the T-level. All that information will come in to the managed T-level results service, and we'll calculate the overall results based on that component data, and ultimately, as I mentioned earlier, issue both statements of achievements and certificates based on that data. Okay, go to the next slide, please. Thanks. So, as I mentioned, just to highlight there, the 3 main components that providers are required to submit into the system are industry placements, so confirmation that students have completed their industry placement at the end of the 2-year study program, mandatory additional requirements where they apply, and by exception, English and maths for those students that studied outside of England and Wales. So component data from providers is required to be input into the service before the 31st of July in the 2nd year at the T-level. So that's 2022 for the first wave of T-levels. But providers are able to submit that information sort of any time from August when we launch this version of the system through till the end of the T-level program. Just a point on statements of achievement, so you'll be aware that we would like to issue statements of achievement to those students that may leave the course early or do not pass all the elements of the T-level. So it's important that you as providers submit data as and when it becomes available, so that you can request those statements of achievement from the portal as and when necessary. So as I mentioned earlier, we'll look to have the end-to-end initial service up and running by the end of August. So it's at that point at which you'll be able to request a statement of achievement for a student that may drop off the course early, having only achieved some elements of that T-level, to sort of set out which elements of the student of the T-level the student has achieved. And then just a couple of points there around sort of printing and issuing of statements of achievements and certificates. They'll be going to providers, these statements of achievements and certificates. So therefore, we'll require you to input and confirm the address to which those statements of achievements and certificates will need to be sent. Okay, next slide, please. Right, so as I mentioned earlier, the design of this service is very much informed by feedback from users, as is the case with many other government digital services. So we certainly want to try to look to minimize burden on users to try and make it as simple as possible. And as I already mentioned, we'll integrate with other services to make the whole process straightforward and as easy as possible. But just in terms of data requirements, I've listed a few, the key data requirements that we will be looking to collect in the system when it first becomes available in August this year. So it's a completion of the industry placement, but alongside that, whether a placement has been completed with any special considerations, whether any allowable model has been adopted to deliver the placement. You'll be sort of familiar with those models in the industry placement delivery guidance. Whether the student has any special educational needs or disability, and as I've already sort of mentioned, the if students completed qualifications outside of England or Wales, we'll need to know whether they've got the minimum sort of requirement on English and maths. Okay, so I think that pretty much summarizes what I wanted to say. As I said earlier, the end-to-end service will be available from August 2021, at which point you'll have the ability to request those statements of achievements. But beyond August, we'll continue to build on and improve the initial version of the system that you may see when you first log in. Okay, shall I hand back to you, David?
Yeah, okay, thanks, Tira. Oh, sorry, go.
Sorry, David, I was just going to say, Tira, there's quite a few questions come in about where they find the service, how they access it.
Yeah, so do you want to come on to those questions now, or should we just
do you want to jump in on that one now, and then we'll come back to the other questions at the end of the presentations? But
yeah, absolutely. So as a service is in private beta at the moment, so what we've done with awarding organizations is we've shared essentially the link to the site, so with all the users that will be using it. Imagine we'll do the same with providers initially. We'll share the link with providers, but we'll also look to promote the service on other government digital services. So we'll host a link on support with delivering T-levels, which Sandra is going to be talking about now. But also there'll be a dedicated start page on gov.uk, which we'll be promoting as well, and we'll be able to sort of share the link to that as well.
Yeah, so in the chat, yeah, that's right. At the moment, the service isn't there for providers to access, but we'll provide further information in due course as it's developed and is made available. So you're not missing anything if you can't find it right now, but yeah, it will be launching over the coming months. Thank you for, I can see there's quite a few questions popping up, and we'll come back to those in a second. I just want to move on to spend a few minutes talking about the support with delivering T-level service. So I think we're going to start with a short video which summarizes, and I'll hand over to Sandra, who'll just say a few words more about that.
Over the past few months, we've been working on a new service, support with delivering T-levels. This replaces SharePoint as the digital support solution for T-level providers. At its core, this is a help centre. We've moved all the important support materials from SharePoint onto a new website. We've reorganised these materials into intuitive categories. We've made each document easy to understand at a glance, and easy to find through search. We now have a way for providers to sign up for and automatically receive news updates without us having to manage a mailing list. And we can do useful things like embed videos into a page so providers can catch up on training or workshops that they might have missed. The new service will soon also have a discussion forum. This is a place for providers to network online about delivering T-levels. Providers can sort discussions by most activity or recent activity. They can search for discussions that might help them. They can join in with discussions started by other providers. Or they can start their own. And as these conversations get going, they can see which replies are from the community and which are official responses from us. Anyone can view the discussions, but only people working for approved T-level providers will be able to post. So what's the long-term vision for this service? In short, we see support with delivering T-levels becoming the first port of call for any and all T-level provider questions.
I don't know whether anybody else was experiencing similar things. That was a bit stuttery for me. I wasn't sure if it was going to stop or whether it's just me. So apologies if you had trouble viewing that video. What I'll do is I'll post a link in the chat here so you can watch it at your leisure later on or after the call. So apologies for that. Really what I just wanted to do was, some of you hopefully are familiar with the support with delivering T-level service. Hopefully you find it a great site to find the information that you need, and obviously we're just starting to develop and expand it. The forum that it mentioned in the video that was coming soon is actually here. It's actually live. Some of you will have been involved in conversations on that. So what I'd really just like to ask you to do is to share your best practice, ask questions if you can, be inquisitive, be helpful, talk to each other. There's been a lot of demand from, we've produced this forum in response to feedback from yourselves about wanting a network area for you to talk to one another, and this is exactly it. So ask questions, answer your peers, and please get involved and encourage conversations and chats to help support you and answer your questions. Please do sign up for alerts. We've had again a bit of a stop-start with regards to alerts, but subscribing for alerts is the way to get notified when there's an update on new content. And if you're not sure on how to do that, again, we can let you know. So get in touch, and please give us feedback. We're constantly looking for you to talk to us about what content are we missing, what would you like to see more of, what would you like to see less of, what's working well for you and what's not working for you. This is very much your area for you to get in touch with us and to give us the information, to get the information that you need in order to deliver T-levels. So I'll share the link to the site now on here and also to the video, but please do get in touch either with me directly or through the service. We'd also really like to encourage you to get involved directly in user research with us. So that's about making sure that we design the service that you need, so that we make sure that we are absolutely creating something that's useful to you. So again, if you'd like to volunteer to do that, it won't take up too much of your time. We know your time is precious, but we absolutely need to make sure that we design things that are useful to you. So the link's on there as well to support with delivering T-levels, the email to get in touch. I think David has put the link up to the site there in the chat as well. So happy to answer any questions about the site, either that or post them on the forum. Thanks, David. I'm handing back to you, I think.
Okay, thanks, Sandra. So I think we'll just run through and try and pick up as many questions as we can here. So I'm just trying to sort of scan back. If we can start with results and certification, perhaps. So there was I did clarify in the chat that questions on the role of awarding organisations versus providers, and particularly in relation to student registration. So just to confirm, yes, it is the case. Student registration, student assessment entries is part of the process, which is sits within awarding organisations. And as Tira said, we are already seeing those registrations appear. That the focus for providers is specifically around industry placements. And English and maths, which is achieved outside of the UK, that we don't pull information on automatically through existing DFE systems. Anything further to add to that, Tirath?
No, I think you pretty much covered it there.
Okay. Just trying to track the questions. Excuse me.
I think you've covered most of them, David.
Yeah.
I did notice one or two linked to the ILR and
Yes.
and sort of certification service. Sorry, the managed sea level results service. So there's one question around whether we can use the ILR to get the information we need. Unfortunately, not. It doesn't quite give us the right information in terms of the industry placements that we need, but also I think there's a timing issue really. So at the end of the 2-year study program, we need to be able to calculate all the results in a timely manner, and then issue those certificates in line with results day and certification day. We wouldn't get accurate, reliable data from ILR until, well, the final return, which I think is in November, which will be too late, and it's not quite the right data anyway. So that, I think that answers that question. Then there was another one related to whether a certificate is required to complete the Z program aim in the ILR. So that we're not integrating with the ILR service in any way for this system. It's independent of that. We're integrating with the learning record service. So in terms of whether you need a certificate for ILR processes, I would say no. I think those processes are independent of this, and you should continue to follow what you have been and the funding rules and the ILR guidance for ILR processes. This is separate to that. This is purely around getting confirmation that students have completed their industry placement so that we can calculate the overall result and issue the certificate. I'm not sure if I missed any there, David.
Yeah, there was a question from Julie Rayner, I think, around the addresses to post certificates and how we ensure that those are maintained. And I think that's where we're really seeking input from providers to make sure that the information we hold on locations for the posting of certificates is up to date and that they're going to the right place.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to build on that, we've started the research with providers now. We'll continue to do that over the next month or so. But I expect providers will be able to go in and input that address and maintain it in a fairly user-friendly journey. But more information on that in due course.
Okay. Just a question from Catherine on timings of confirmation of industry placements and when they ought to notify through the system of completion. Do you want to say a little bit more about the date schedule and around that?
Around when, sorry, industry placements should be completed?
When providers should confirm with us in the system around completion of industry placements.
Yeah, so I'd say, well, certainly they can do so at any time. Release the version for providers and up to the second year of the T level, so July 2022. But I'd encourage you to sort of put that information in the system as soon as possible, so that should you need to, you can request a statement of achievement if the student drops off early. So that will make that process easier. But also sort of for monitoring purposes, it would be good to see those confirmation of those industry placements coming in, because I know there's a huge interest in technical qualifications and T levels at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything I've? So I think new questions popping up.
There's a question about a dummy service that people could practice on, David.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So for this managed T level results service, well, essentially what we do as part of the research is almost like a dummy service. When we go out and research with providers, we use prototypes which users interact with, and then we take feedback from that to influence our design and ultimately the final product that you see in front of you and you use. So I guess that is our way of using a dummy service. I think I can see.
I'm just answering a question there about sharing best practice on industry placements from Danielle. Yes, absolutely, Danielle. Anything that helps you to deliver T levels, including, industry placements via CDF, please ask the questions on the forum. Seek views and opinions and good practice from your colleagues. So absolutely.
I think there's another question there just to clarify the point on addresses, and a question on whether or not we'd need learner approval for details. I think certainly the intention and what we're finding from research is that certificates will not be sent directly to students. They will be sent to a provider address rather than individuals, so which will overcome those concerns around data.
That's right. Yeah, early research we've conducted in December with providers suggests that there'll be a sort of central place within providers. So typically an exams office to which where sort of processing of results and certificates are handled, and that's where I imagine we'll be sending those certificates, and not directly to students but to providers.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to think what I've missed here. I'm just conscious we're running out of time. I'm sort of happy to continue on, but I appreciate others may have other appointments after this. So perhaps it's best. Would it be helpful if we provide responses to any outstanding questions as a follow-up to this meeting when we circulate a link to the recording?
David, can I just ask one more follow-up?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
People definitely seem to be quite interested in having something that they could see in advance to become familiar with. Tira, Neil responded to your comment. I don't know if there's anything more we can say on that.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I would say is that we are developing and building this service in advance of need, really. So it could be that we could release an earlier version way in advance of August, and then we could test that and open it up to users before we build on it further and release it in August. So we are sort of well advanced in our roadmap in order to do that. So that's something we can take away if that would be helpful.
Yeah, let's take that away and look into more detail, and we can provide some further feedback on that.
Are there any significant areas that anyone thinks that we haven't covered in the questions? I think we've covered most of them, and as David said, we'll send round all the various links and things afterwards. But are there any big areas that people think that we've missed about when we'll get the invitation to sign up? David and Tara.
Yeah, so I guess it's linked to that point around potential early testing. So as I said, the aim is to have something ready by August, but then we could release something earlier than that, and then possibly even as early as the end of April, at which point we can we'll communicate further, and certainly you can invite people to come in and use the system and relevant users to test it further.
And there's a suggestion there about another webinar once the system goes live. That sounds like a really good idea. I'm sure we can do that.
Yeah, and I think there's one other question there. Perhaps we can answer quickly, Tarath, and this is in relation to bulk upload versus manual upload. So, do you want to just say a little bit more about how we're approaching that in terms of the ongoing development?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the initial version, we expect to provide a manual upload version of the system. So where users, we expect users to go in and sort of manually confirm whether students have completed the placement, and then request a statement of achievement if required, in recognition of the fact that intelligence suggests that students that actually complete this industry placement in the first year will be sort of few and far between. So there won't be a great demand for it initially, but as I mentioned, beyond August, we'll be continue to build on the service and improve it. And I imagine I certainly think we'll be building in a bulk upload functionality towards the end of this calendar year.
There's a question about ETF training sessions. I don't think there will be an ETF module on this. I think we will provide any assistance that you need with the service, and if there's demand for longer webinars or numerous webinars, then I think that's fine. We're happy to do that. Absolutely. There's one last question on the end there about the information required for the industry placement.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So in terms of evidence, we would expect providers to manage and keep hold of that evidence. So it's more seen as a kind of declaration when you interact with the service to confirm. An appropriate person within your organization will need to confirm that and declare that you have all the evidence to suggest that a student has completed that placement.
So they won't need to submit evidence. They will just need to keep hold of the evidence themselves, but they will just need to confirm on the site that they have that evidence and they're satisfied the placement's been completed properly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And the point about ILR, I think we have done some investigation. As Tira said, I think timing's the big issue there. But Louise will certainly take that away and export to make sure that there's nothing we can do. As we say, that the focus is on making sure we're minimising burden on providers and clearly want to avoid duplication of effort wherever that's possible. So we'll certainly take that away and do some further investigation.
David, is the ILR question something that may be easier to resolve in future once T-levels become a more sort of mainstream offer?
I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm not too sure that will necessarily resolve the timing issue, but it's not an area I'm massively close to. But we'll take it away, and if that is something we can resolve more easily, then we'll certainly seek to do so.
Yeah. There's a question there about, can the provider offer placement for pupils in their school? No, the industry placement has to be done away from the provider site. It needs to be entirely independent from the provider. There's lots of information on the T-level pages on gov.uk about the parameters around industry placements. There's a question about how long will we need to keep the evidence for about the placement. I don't know if you've got to that yet. Sarah or David.
No, I think yeah, I guess that's kind of linked with how providers would manage information for other qualifications. We would expect a similar sort of thing for T-levels and align that with the funding rules for post-16 qualifications. There's also some information in the industry placement delivery guidance, which may kind of refer you to the kind of timescales and the funding policy requirements there.
It's a question about virtual placements. There was a question earlier on about virtual placements. At the moment, no, virtual placements don't count. The placement needs to be in a sort of face-to-face environment with an employer. Obviously, we understand that the current situation makes that impossible, and very few students will have gone on their placement last term. So this is something that we are keeping a close eye on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thanks. I can see a couple of people have very helpfully offered to provide our input in terms of the system integration. I think we may well be taking up on that. So we'll make a note and be in touch in terms of some of the research when we might be able to sort of take you up on that. So thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, so we're getting into lots of questions about industry placement. So I think there is lots and lots of information about placements on gov.uk. As someone said, yes, you've got 35 hours that you can use virtually as part of taster hours. That you can be doing that now if you're able to. And yeah, we've had a lot of conversations with providers about digital placements and whether they're more appropriate to be done virtually. And at the moment, again, we understand that lots of digital employers do work remotely, and we do want to make sure that industry placements reflect current practice. But I think the placement is about lots of things. It's about learning those sort of general workplace skills, and we still think it's important for the student to do those hours in a face-to-face environment. But it is something that we've talked to people a lot about. So again, I'm happy to speak to anyone who would like to discuss that in more detail.
Just a question on there around evidence submitted to the awarding body, whether the users will be required to submit that to both the awarding body and the portal. So just to be clear, in terms of the journey and the flow, awarding organisations are responsible for the TQ and awarding the technical qualification element of the T-level. So anything in relation to the registration or the result of the TQ goes to the awarding organisation, and the awarding organisation submits registration data and results data around the TEQ through our portal. In terms of industry placements, that's where we require providers to interact directly with our portal and submit, as I said, that really a declaration to confirm that those industry placements have been completed. Hope that helps.
Are there any final questions? I think I'm just scrolling up. I think we've managed to get to most of them. Please do get in touch if you have any more questions we haven't covered today. David or Tirath, is there anything else you want to add?
Not for me, I don't think. To say we'll double check and make sure there's nothing we've missed in the conversation. So it's been difficult to track, but yeah, we'll certainly follow up and then clarify where needed, and so we'll make this session available to watch back through the Support with T-level sites as well, and just if you want to review or colleagues want to review this too.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that we circulate all the links. Someone's asked again for the link for getting in touch. There's an email address on this screen, but we'll make sure we send round all the links as well. All right, so thank you all very much for joining. It's really helpful, and we will send you some dates out shortly for some more webinars for when the site is launched. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.